John McTiernan's 1987 classic Predator is often considered one of the greatest action films of all time. Its sequel, 1990's Predator 2, was often dismissed as nothing but a cash grab, but in fact, it's one of the most underrated sci-fi horror action mashups of the era. And it features a brilliantly cast against type Danny Glover kicking alien ass in a totally different way than Arnold Schwarzenegger ever did. While Dan Trachtenberg's Prey gives it a run for its money, Predator 2, in my opinion, is still the second best Predator movie ever, and this week's best movie you never saw.
Welcome to the war.
Jump back to 1987. Predator is a huge box office hit, earning close to $60 million domestically. Pretty good money for 1987. Clearly a sequel was a given, but here's the thing. By the time it was finally made, John McTiernan and Arnold Schwarzenegger were both too big to make Predator 2. The year after Predator came out, McTiernan made Die Hard.
Welcome to the party, pal!
And became the hottest director in Hollywood. He could make any movie he wanted, and he opted to do the more highbrow Hunt for October. Meanwhile, Arnold Schwarzenegger branched into comedy with Twins and was on his way to becoming the biggest movie star of the 90s. He almost did Predator 2, but apparently couldn't come to terms with 20th Century Fox over money.
Come with me if you want to live.
Fox, of course, wanted to make Predator 2, but the common knowledge when it came to sequels back then was not always to go bigger. Rather, people believed in the law of diminishing returns, namely that if a movie was a hit, the sequel would have a built-in audience but make less than the original.
Who knows, you might just get lucky.
Lieutenant, luck is my specialty.
In fact, it was James Cameron who proved the opposite was true twice with Aliens and T2, the one sci-fi sequel that Arnold Schwarzenegger did opt to do.
Chill out. Dickwad.
That's great, see, you're getting it.
So now Fox had to find a new director for Predator 2. Enter Stephen Hopkins, a talented young director who had helmed The Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. He would work closely with the writers of the original film, Jim and John Thomas, as well as producer Joel Silver to craft a follow-up. From the start, the idea was to eschew the jungle setting and bring the Predator into an urban jungle. Remember now, at this point we've never seen a Predator in an earthbound urban setting, so this was actually a pretty novel idea.
He's on safari. Lions, the tigers, the bears. Oh my.
This sequel would take the Predator horror sci-fi aspect and merge it with the urban cop genre. To make the Predator's human adversary, 20th Century Fox was high on Steven Seagal, who was making headway as an action star at the time.
I'm gonna take you to the bank, Senator Trent. To the blood bank.
The notion of pitting a martial artist against the Predator was intriguing, but Seagal and Hopkins did not see eye to eye, with Seagal wanting to play his usual shadowy CIA shtick-up to a certain extent, while Hopkins wanted the hero to be an everyman, as different from Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator as possible. Another intriguing choice was Patrick Swayze, but he had already gone the action hero route with Roadhouse and would make the ultra-successful Ghost the same year. Instead of getting a classic action guy, they wisely cast against type by using Danny Glover. While he had starred in the Lethal Weapon movies, his Murtaugh was always the voice of reason. Mel Gibson was the badass one. In Predator 2, his Mike Harrigan wouldn't be the wise, even-tempered cop we know from Lethal Weapon movies. Glover, who was always younger than the character he played in Lethal Weapon, would play Harrigan, a tough, Riggs-like character who had a problem with authority and ran a tough anti-gang unit in the LAPD.
Listen, shit in. I don't give a fuck who you really are, what you want with this asshole. Because now it's personal, and he's a dead man.
He's despised by the higher-ups, including the character played by Robert Davi, because of his tendency to shoot first and ask questions later.
I put my ass on the line to get you here. And all I expect is a little cooperation!
It's cool watching Glover play against type as this wildly unpredictable action hero. It's also really neat to see a black action hero, as in 1990 this was relatively rare, and it was a few years before Wesley Snipes would really break out and change things. Notably, Glover was not the muscle-bound type like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He looked like a normal guy, albeit a toweringly tall one with his natural 6'3" height, emphasized in a way it never was in Lethal Weapon movies. He uses cunning and his urban environment to take on the Predator, and the way he defeats him is different than Schwarzenegger's. To me, that's the key to a good Predator movie. The hero needs to be different and use a different skill set to defeat the alien. That's why Prey is so good, as we've never seen the Predator fight that kind of adversary. The Predator tried to marry the urban setting of Predator 2 with the army combat of the first movie, but it didn't work. Glover here seems outmatched, and that's what makes it exciting. He's supported by a great ensemble cast including Ruben Blades, Maria Conchita Alonso, and a young Bill Paxton playing the wise guy jerk cop who turns out to be a hero in the end.
Now, if you'll excuse me, Lieutenant, I got some serious police work to attend to.
You also get Gary Busey as the human antagonist, a shadowy operative who's trying to capture the creature.
You got a big nose, and you're sticking it too far in my business.
One thing I like is that even though him and Harrigan are at odds during the movie, Harrigan tries to save him and his men in the climax of the film, as ultimately he's a heroic character. One thing worth noting is how Predator 2 succeeds in many genres. While not skimping on the gore of a horror film, which almost earned it an NC-17, just like Predator, it's still a badass action movie even before the alien shows up. The opening shootout between the cops and the Colombian and Jamaican cartels is well conceived and shot, with Alan Silvestri's score as exciting as it was the first time. Sadly, Predator 2 wasn't a financial success, which is devastating, as the climax clearly sets up the fact that it takes place in the same world as the Alien movies, and had an Alien vs. Predator film been made in the 90s, it almost certainly would have been better than what we got in the 2000s. Contrary to popular opinion, Predator 2 did still make money. It cost somewhere between 20 to 30 million, and it grossed 57 million worldwide, meaning after video, it did okay. Still, it wasn't a blockbuster, and Glover wouldn't really get to continue on as a solo action hero beyond the Lethal Weapon films, which is a drag.
Okay, who's next?
Predators, I think, tried to pay tribute to his character in a certain way, but it's kind of confusing because Lawrence Fishburne shows up as this guy stranded on the Predator planet, and I mean, wouldn't it have been way cooler if it was Danny Glover's character and they had stolen him so that they could somehow study him? My thought is that they must have approached him to reprise his role and he just turned them down, but if they didn't, that's on them, because I'll tell you, if Danny Glover had shown up on the alien homeworld in Predator, oh man, the audience would have gone insane, and it would have probably changed that movie's reception to a great, great extent. Alas, his Mike Harrigan character never did return in the Predator universe, which I think is a real shame.
Don't worry, asshole. You'll get another chance.
Even still, Predator 2 ranks as perhaps the most underrated action horror sci-fi movie of its era.
Jesus Christ, what the fuck are you?